Greetings, ladies and gentlemen. It is your favorite warlock, practicing necromancer. And I know it's been a while since I've done a video. And I wanted to come online and kind of talk a little bit about this religious stupidity that's been going around the world, mostly right here in the United States. Um, let's start with Oklahoma. Okay. But before I get into that, I want to kind of just let you know that there is a long, long history, long before the conception of Christianity. Okay. Christianity is perhaps one of the most brutal and bloodiest religions out there. Not just that, but Catholicdom as well, the JCI. You consider the Yom Kippur is a Jewish and Hebrew rite where animal sacrificing is done. You consider crucifixion, for an example, which is where you're staked to a cross, a wooden cross, your knees shattered, so you're basically suffocating in your own asphyxiation, if you will, of the lungs. So you consider you have the Dark Ages, the Holy Wars, the Burning Times, the witch trials, and everything in between of a bloody warfare being cut throughout the world. And that was done by the JCI, the Judo Christian Institutions. A lot of people have forgotten this history, and because the government controls the schools, reciting what you can and cannot teach in our school system, this is setting up an issue, okay, that even further segregates the religious pro quo. Okay. Earlier today, when I got home from work, I flopped on the bed and just was watching TikTok channel, videos, and I came across a video put forth by a practicing Satanist, okay, of a Christian talking smack. Okay, normally I would not give two shits about this, but it was what he was saying that caught my attention, stating that Satanism is not considered a religion, stating that they are not permitted to come into their schools, that they're not welcome in their schools. Okay. Furthermore, he started stating that the forefathers set this up for Christianized religions practice. Okay. Now, you take the fact that both Louisiana and Oklahoma have literally passed a bill stating that a Bible, a Christian Bible, is now part of the curriculum in their schools. Okay. Now, I saw this coming a while back when they started allowing Islam to have an hour of their time in school to have an altar room in their school systems here in America. I saw this coming like what was how long has it been now? 5, 6 years, I think, since they put this forth. So I mean, I saw this coming. Okay. Now, what's interesting here is I stated it was going to be a religious war, and it is a religious war. I mean, look at Hamas. Look at what's going on in the Middle East. Okay, look what's going on in the southern United States right now. Okay, where if you are not a Christian, you're not going to get very far. You're literally singled out and targeted. Okay, Renee Luxton was a good friend of mine, and she was from Virginia. She couldn't get health care, she couldn't get anything because she was a practicing Satanist and she was found dead in her own home. A friend of hers reached out to me and a few others stating that she had passed. Okay. Um, Even my own experiences in the South. have shown the ignorance of the Christian religion. Okay. So why don't we get into the legal laws here? Okay. First of all, the First Amendment states that what makes up a protected religion, and this is a federal law, by the way, is that you have to have doctrine, you have to have a following, and you have to have a foundation. A foundation means a temple, a church, or a coven. Okay. A group of people, three or more, that make up a congregation. Okay. That is what makes up a protected religion. If you look under religious land use, personalized religious acts specifically, it states that no individual has a right to limit or deny another. This is under equal rights, okay? A, B, C, and D, okay? Now, when you go back to the blue law, the founding fathers, when they set up the Constitution, knew that it was not complete. They made it so that everyone had free will to practice what they felt like, okay? So if when we look at this, we look at the 1967 Civil Rights Act, okay, titles VI and VII. It clearly shows that people have religious rights in the workplace, in the Constitution, within our government, within our schools, okay? And there's numerous examples of what makes up a legal right, okay, for individual practice, be it a religious practice, be it a individual's practice, okay? So it doesn't matter if you're in a church, a temple, or whatever. You are protected in the United States by the United States Constitution, okay? Now, this individual claims that Satanists are radicals. I mean, the only ones really putting up a stink is the Satanic Temple, okay? Lucian Graves' little organization. Okay, now keep in mind, I'm not a practicing Satanist, and I have not been a practicing Satanist for about 4 to 6 years. Okay, but I am a religious person. I am a religious man. I am a ordained archbishop of multi faith proportion. Okay, because I have studied and practiced and been initiated into many different religions. I've always backed up what I preach by numerous sources. Okay. So I want to put this out there that I have a doctorate of divinity. Okay. I've earned that degree. Okay. As a practicing necromancer and a practicing Satanist. Now, I want you to think about your 10 commandments. Okay. How many of those have you violated? Okay. I want you to just think about this. And this is going out to all you Christians. Okay. I want to speak to all you Islamics, Jewish, Hebrew, and mainstream JCI, Orthodox religious practitioners. You want to talk radicals and radicalism. Why don't we talk Southern Baptists? How many stories and videos have been done on social media of these morons handling poisonous snakes? I don't know about you, but I would not be dancing to loud music holding a pit viper or a rattlesnake, especially with their neurotoxins. Okay. Now, how many times do you have to lose a minister or a member of your congregation to a snake bite? There was one that was interesting. He did a video on his grandfather and his father both dying of being bitten by poisonous snakes. Now, the son who took over the church ended up getting pit vipers, brand new pit vipers, never worked with before. He got bit, ended up in a coma, and it was literally a miracle that he survived at all. But that was only sheer luck because there was a doctor in the house. Interesting how that works, right? So you think that Satanism is a bunch of radicals. Hmm. Obviously, you haven't taken the time to study the philosophy behind Satanism. First of all, let's talk Anton Zandalevay, the Satanic Bible that he wrote, 1967. The first half of the Bible speaks to a philosophy, leaving the second half up for interpretation. Now, this puts forth a bunch of creeds: satanic sins, satanic rules of the earth, the nine satanic statements, unless you're Luciferian, and then, you have the 11 adversarial doctrines. Okay. So that's that. Now, if you're part of Reverend Cesar's little vampiric foundation, then you have the nine rules of his order, okay, which basically mimic that of Anton Zandalavay's. So, and then you have the 21 satanic points, the infernal maxim as well, which basically generates a mere, let's call it a codex, if you will, of the overall creed. Okay. Now, I want you to think about your 10 commandments on this. Okay. Satan has been the best friend the church has ever had. This is number 9. Okay. Because it is he who has kept your church in business all these years. Now, think about this for just a minute. Okay. Without the devil, you wouldn't have a following. You wouldn't even have your little foundations. Okay. But here it is. You worship a man on a cross. Okay. Is that not considered idol worship? Okay. You're constantly going out and murdering each other. Okay. And look at the history of Christianity worldwide. You're basically following a path of mass murder. I mean, let's face it, even the Bible shows that the sins of the father are placed upon the son, right? Huh. So the curse of Adam and Eve is upon you. Okay, so let's take a look at this. Thou shalt not murder. Okay. The witch trials, the burning times, the Renaissance, the holy wars. You butchered your way through the world. Your fathers, your forefathers, have butchered their way through the world. Are your hands not drenched in blood because of that? You've stolen every part of your Bible from much older religions and texts, such as the Dead Sea Scrolls, the Zohar, the Mishra, the Jewish Haggadah, the Talmud, the Book of Tobit, and so forth. And you want to call Satanists, the religion of Satanism, radicals? Interesting. So basically, thou shalt not steal. Well, you just stole all that from all these other traditions. You've violated Revelations chapter 22, verses 18 and 19, or 19 and 20, depending on the translation, by adding and taking away from the Bible. Wow. Yeah, you're so going to heaven. Whew. You violated just about every commandment that you have. Okay. And even today, you put into law against federal guidelines that now you're making it mandatory for your schools in Oklahoma to teach the Bible, but yet you're going to deny Satanists, Wiccans, pagans the same right. Obviously, you don't know the law. Obviously, you don't know the United States Constitution. I mean, yeah, I'm not a big fan of the satanic temple. I'm really not. I find them to be closed-minded, only doing what's best for their little organization, not for the whole religious society. But then again, you look at the atheistic Satanists. I don't consider them atheists. I don't consider them Satanists at all. I mean, even Vokokalakis Oriax put it quite frankly in his book, the book of the Black Flame of Satan. Okay, and yes, that is a mouthful right there. Okay, I want you to think about this. You're an atheist. You don't believe in an actual being, but yet, who do you call upon when you're doing rituals and rites? Okay. Second of all, where do you think all that sorcery is going? Who do you think's granting those miracles? Okay. So the stupidity isn't just on Christianity, it's also on other religions and factions. Okay. It's so you have to be fair on that one alone. Okay. Hey, the Black Tower. Welcome, brother. It's been a while. But my point is this: you want to sit there and deny Satanists access to your schools? Children have a right for an education. That is a federal law. Okay. Even if you get into the Department of CPS and DHS in itself, or ecological, oh, whatever the hell they call that down in the South these days. I forget what it's called. I want to say it's ecological something or other. It's keep in mind it has been over 14 years since the last time I was in the South. So it's like an offshoot of what we call up here in the North Department of Human Resources, if you will, Department of Human Services. Well, CPS, Child Protective Services, has legal rights in there that state that they can go into your schools and have you fined. Okay. The federal government can fine you by banning people who practice other religions from your schools. This is not the 18th century. This is not the 17th century, where there is Confederate, where the Confederacy is considered to be a nation separate from the North, the Union. This is the United States of America. Okay? The United States of America. Okay? So to sit there and say that, number one, you don't recognize Satanists as a religion, that's your opinion. Okay? And like opinions, everybody has one. Sad but true. Second of all, you're violating your 10 Commandments. You're violating the legal laws. So, in the long run, this decision is going to come back and bite you in the ass. The question is that you need to ask is, when is it going to bite you in the ass? It's not a matter of if, it's a matter of when. Okay? Now, personally, I don't give two shits what you do. I just do me. But this is something I wanted to come on here and discuss in a little bit of detail. Okay? Now, I've given you the legal religious rights that you can go into. RIFRA is one of the big ones. Okay? You can find that underneath titles VI and VII of the Civil Rights. Okay? And yes, that has actually been revamped a few times between Bush, Trump, and Biden. Okay? But here it is. Look at the blue laws. Look at your educational system. There's an old expression that says, clean out your own backyard before you can reference somebody else. It's like this war in the Middle East. If you can't clean up your own backyard as an American, what makes you think as an American you have a right to police the world? Same thing with Christianity. You bully yourself, other people, you intimidate. It takes 3 to 5 of you, your little sentinels, to try to intimidate and bully and scare into submission somebody else who doesn't believe in your way of life instead of just keeping to yourself. A Satanist is singular. A Satanist doesn't need an army because the sole purpose of being a Satanist is self-education, self-mastery. Hell, you look at any of the left-hand path traditions and they'll tell you the exact same thing. It's about education. It's about knowledge. And sadly, you lack knowledge. You hold firm to old ways. And you think you can get away with anything. Has not recent years with the victories in federal court, civil court, when Lucian Graves sends his lieutenants or whoever you want, his little minions in there to sue the schools, the abortion rights, everything. Have you not learned anything from history? Oh, that's right. The church owns the government owns the educational system. This is why nobody trusts you. This is why there's over 1,200 to 1,500 churches, chapels, and other foundations sitting vacant because you don't have the ministers or you don't have the congregation. Nowadays, you run it as a multi-billion-dollar structure. It's a corporation. Nothing more. Everybody treats it as a joke, and it is a joke. It's shit that doesn't matter. It shouldn't matter. This is why Christians don't like me, because I put them in their place. Not only do I know their Bible better than they do, but I can go to any scripture in the world within the entire Bible and use it to show you the error of your ways. For an example, my advice to you, to this individual that I'm referencing here from the video on TikTok, who stated these words, I want you to remember one passage, Mark chapter 5, verses 25 through 35. And this is in the New King James. So you can go directly to that book and to those chapters. And I want you to think about this. Go to your brother and sister for forgiveness before they call Raqqa and you end up in front of the police, in front of the judge, the jury, and the executioners. You might want to get right with your own God or gods, because apparently you can't even get his name straight either. But that's all I got to say. Only you can do that. Personally, I don't care if you go to heaven or hell. It means nothing to me. But I wanted to set this record straight. I wanted to kind of bring forth this education, not only to my viewers, but to Christians or people who are thinking about getting into Christianity. Now, personally, I don't have an issue with Christianity. I have an issue with the idiots that run Christianity. Because that's what you are, idiots. You don't even go by your own Bible. You have so many subdivisions and segregations, rule breakers and violators. that you can't even keep your own shit together. But yet you feel the need to enforce something on civilians, on civilization, on the populace. You don't have a right to do shit, as far as I'm concerned. You need to get your own shit together. Learn your history, learn the legal system. America was built for free. It's called freedom for all through religious practices, the right to make a living, not hoard and be used as slaves. You know nothing of the forefathers. You know nothing of the United States Constitution or the federal or local laws. I bet you don't even realize that there are two sets of laws practiced here in America. Between Louisiana and Nevada, you have Napoleonic law. The rest of the America is done by civil law. I bet you don't even know that. I, I bet you don't even know that you have the right to free speech. Wow. And yet, the government has even attacked women's rights, which Christians, by the way, consider second class citizens to their own husbands. They're not as important as a male. And yet, you have feminists out there claiming that a woman doesn't need a man, but yet you're begging men for money. Talk about duality and hypocrisy. But let's take this a step forward. You sit there, Wade versus Roe. You take that away from the 13th Amendment. Okay, now every state can set their own guidelines. But yet, you forget about the 1010-117 Congress Act. In the A and B, A states that a woman has a right to either conceive a child and have a child or terminate a child based off mental health or safety. B clearly states that no government branch has a right to interfere with that. Even church and state is separate, but yet you're going to make into a law that a Bible is to be taught. The Bible is to be taught in your school system. Wow. What a fucked up world we live in. that that is such stupidity. I'm actually hoping that somebody pushes that redo button. You know what I'm saying? Hey, Putin, push that button, set off a few nukes. Hey, Biden, do the same. Let's dwindle the population down and do a redo. Let's do a redo. Let's do a nuclear war. That's what you're gunning for, anyways. Stop bitching about it and just fucking do it. You know what I'm saying? Christians, Satanists are always going to be at each other's throats. But yet it's the pagans and the Wiccans that slide under the table because they practice white magic. Did you not realize that magic is magic no matter what you do? Human, animal sacrificing is a part of Christianity and Islam just as much as was a part of Satanism, Wiccan, and pagan practices. Did you forget about the Aztecs? How about the Druids? How about the virgin suicides? The human sacrificing of ancient Greek? Wow. How about the Shem priesthood of first, second, and third dynasty Egypt, who performed witchcraft, by the way? These were ordained ministers. These were priests practicing witchcraft. The Egyptian Book of the Dead, the Emerald of Thoth, even. And every so often, one was run out of town. Whew. Okay, let's go into the Middle East. Let's go with Pakistan. How about the Hashishin? Holy men, highly trained as assassins, Simsara. Highly feared and respected, but yet they were highly religious. How about the Knights of Templar? Monks, holy monks, trained in the art of war, but yet they were known as the protectors of the travelers. The personal army of the Vatican. How about we go to the 15th century? You got the Illuminati, the original Illuminati, not this bullshit BS stuff that you got today. Okay? And then you have the Vatican themselves. One group was based off science and spirituality, the other was solely spiritual. But yet, the Illuminati was supposedly wiped out and stomped out. Whew. But yet they're still around as far as the 16th century, the 17th century, and revamped in today's world by numerous different factions claiming to be the original. But it's all protected by the First Amendment. So it doesn't matter where you look throughout folklore, throughout history, anthropology, archaeological aspects. It doesn't matter if you're going into legal rights. Everybody has a right to believe and practice what they do. Hell, they even made the Academy of the Sith and the Jedi as a religion as of 2005. Now, if they're willing to do that, what's next? You know what I'm saying? But so here's the key that I'm going to recommend. Stick to your own backyard. Just do you. Who gives a shit about the latest drama? You're the only one who can decide whether you want that drama in your life or not. And you have a right to freedom of free speech. You have a right to believe what you want. You have a right to make a living, either as a Satanist, as a pagan, as an occultist, as a Christian. It's protected by the United States Constitution. Even the Fourth Amendment states that. But that's on you. Like I said, number one, whatever you preach, always back it up with numerous sources. And number two, always make yourself available to the public. Now, I guarantee it, this video is going to get a lot of knickers in a twist by the Christians. It's going to get a lot of hate mail. But you know what? That's on you. I don't give a shit. But for now, I got to get going. I got to go pick up a couple Siberian Huskies and take them to the dog park and watch them for the rest of the day. Now, I find it interesting because I'm going to recommend a few books to you guys while I'm right here. The first is the 47 Laws of Power. Okay? Now, the 48 Laws of Power is one of those books that makes you think. Deliberate Discomfort is another one. Very, very good book. Makes you think a lot about yourself. Robert Greene's work is awesome, but this book here really makes you think about yourself. Robert Greene's work teaches you how to work within the world. Literally, in the world. But here's the other kicker. Get into Robert Peterson's work, The 12 Laws for Life. The 12 Rules of Life by him. Listening to his videos really puts a lot of things as a psychotherapist, by the way. What is his title? Psychosociologist or something like that. Psycho something. He's like a medical professional. And this guy wrote this book, and really, it speaks wonders and really makes you think. But he's a really good source, and he has a uh, YouTube platform that he does a lot of preaching on. I recommend his work as well. Okay, and those are to you that actually want to learn and to grow and to prosper. Okay, so I want you to take this to heart, not for me, not for the Christians, not for the Satanists, but for yourselves as individuals. Because let's face it, every spiritual path, no matter if it's Zoroastrianism, Lovecraftian, Luciferian, Christian, Baptist, Catholic, you know, Masons, whatever, it is your path, no one else's. But they are protected by the United States Constitution. So you have a right to education. Anyone under 18 has a right to education. That is a federal guideline for education. You can look it up, and you can look underneath religious rights. Okay? Both personal and religious. Okay? Have a good day. And until next time, I want to thank Jeffrey 524 for jumping on here with me, and the Black Tower. And until next time, have a good one.